We have half an hour to discuss among each other. First of all, thank you again to all of you for your brilliant presentations. It's really fascinating to see the common challenges and unique solutions across our diverse territories. And to kick off our discussion, I would like to pose two key questions to our panelists. The first of it is, if island governments had to prioritize only one major investment over the next decade to improve water security in your region, what should it be and why? I will repeat it just in case. If island governments had to prioritize only one major investment over the next decade in your region to improve water security, what should it be and why? I don't know, whenever of you can jump in and share your thoughts.
I will begin. I will
Okay.
begin. Yeah, I think if the first question probably my answer will be I would prioritize an integrated water management basis on monitoring, digitalization, and strategic diversification of water sources. As we saw in the all the presentation, we need to diversify the water sources that we can. In the case of the Canary Islands, it's clear. We have desalination plants with the problem that all the presenters has mentioned, the energy requirements, and probably the impact in the environment. Yeah, other things that we have mentioned is the aging in the infrastructures, like the pipelines, that the leaks. I saw in Martinique 50% of the water disappear by leaks, and it was the same case that the last presenter of Missiletti. She told about the problem with the aging in the infrastructure. So I think to summarize, the first question is we need to know what quantity of water we have, what quantity of water we need, and the answer for that is monitoring all the sources and digitalization of the whole water cycle in the island. So that could be the first answer. Um, yeah, I think that I answered the second question because it's yeah, the water security in the islands depends on diversification, no dependence on a single source. So that this could be the most interesting thing in my case.
Thank you very much, Juan Carlos. Um,
Oluba?
Yes, thanks. I also did a little bit of thinking about those questions, and I think I agree with you. I think that we need to, or I was thinking obviously from a Faroese perspective, but because we are working on the water law, we need a lot of backup for for pulling it through. So we need to ensure the effect and efficiency of the new water law by prioritizing an overall mapping of water supply, surface and groundwater, in addition to obviously a monitoring program, so that we can manage the usage of especially groundwater aquifers, if we're going to use that, because we're not doing that as such at the moment, to secure a sustainable water usage in the future. So that would absolutely be one thing that I would ask my government to help us with, I think. So yeah, that was probably the first question, but it kind of links to the second question. So yeah, because the potential rising demand is also forcing us to think in a sustainable way. So we need to regulate and monitor, which is something that we don't do in the Faroes at the moment. And we need to map also the areas where the best use of water is and for what purpose. And then I think something that we've learned in the Faroes is that we need to also learn how to say no. For example, with the geothermal wells, which have caused definitely not only problems, but also problems. So we need to dare to kind of tell people what we could use those wells for: drinking water or energy, or not drill at all, or not to interfere in the whole water cycle.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting, Oluba, because we just began to drill some deep wells in order to get geothermal energy. So
Okay, you are, yeah.
our yeah,
Mhm.
it begins 2 or 3 or 4 months ago. There are
Okay.
a huge funding of that, and at the moment we have one here in the Tenerife Islands. It could be reached more than 1,000 meters deep, and we don't know how will that will affect to the aquifer, to our central aquifer. That is interesting, your
Mm.
point of view. So, okay, perfect. Anyone wants to add something to our, yeah, Benoit.
Yes, I think that it's difficult to answer the question because a single measure, I think, will not be enough because we need a coordinated strategy at, in fact, every levels. As Juan Carlos says, and what we can see in all the highland, a significant resources of water is in fact the lost water in the network. And yes, this is a massive work because it's difficult because of the topography, because of the infrastructure to repair all these leaks. But we are certain, and we know the volumes that we can recover. But as I'm hydrogeologist, for me the main measure will be to conduct massive drilling campaign to make enough boreholes to be able to find and to locate every aquifers and to be able to evaluate the groundwater resources. And we know that it's difficult. I don't talk about that, but in Martinique, we have only one drilling company with one drilling rig that can reach the depths of the aquifer. So it's difficult to conduct and to it's difficult to make a lot of boreholes. So it will take a lot of time to make dozens of boreholes. So if we want to be able in maybe 10 years to provide water to population, an important work has to be done concerning yes drilling campaign.
Interesting. Very interesting your point too. Okay, Miss Ileti, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I think in the Pacific context, I think the most impactful choice would be expanding and upgrading the climate resilience water and sanitation infrastructure. And this is because safe water and underpin public health. We see it also underpins economic resilience and climate adaptation. And also current investment levels are far below what is needed to meet the SDG 6 by 2030. So in the Pacific context, we see aging infrastructure as the priority for major investments in the next decade.
Very interesting too.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Thank you all. Now we have our last question, which is about lessons learned. And even if you already put it in your presentations, we'd like to ask you, what is one specific lesson from your island region that you believe could be successfully transferred to other island territories facing similar water challenges?
Yeah, just for start again to yeah, I think that we have answer in my case answer the second question, but it is that the lesson is not to rely only one water source and yeah, take into account the future. So we have to take into account our the climate change as it's here and how that is will affect our water resources. In our case, Noelia and me, we have developed this kind of water projection platform that is very interesting for complete all our hydrological plants. So yeah, first of all is that not rely only in one source. Second, the efficiency. I think it's very important to transfer the good practice on efficiency in order to not to lose that quantity of water that are in the pipes mainly. And secondly, we have to begin to begin to close the water cycle. And what tool we have to close the water cycle probably is the reuse of the water for irrigation mainly, because I think in our case, and I think in the case of, I don't know if in the Pacific Islands is the same, but the most demanding sector in our case is agriculture. So if we solve the problem of the water demand in the agriculture sector, we solve most of the problems in the water in the Canary Islands, for instance, and probably in other archipelagos that we know. So probably is that is take into account the climate change, mainly in water resources, and secondly, close the water cycle in the islands, and that is possible if you improve or you yeah, take that, if you put more water in the system by recycling water, reuse water, regenerate water to use it in the agriculture sector. Misiletti?
The most demanded sector for water in the Pacific is agriculture.
Yeah, that is it.
Uh,
A very
and also
interesting point.
just to just to answer the question number two, from the Pacific's perspective, one powerful lesson from the Pacific Islands region that can be realistically transferred to other island territories is the value of community-based water management and ownership. In many Pacific Islands, households and villages actively participate in rainwater harvesting, local storage, and maintenance of small-scale systems. So the approach to build resilience by ensuring that communities are not entirely dependent on centralized infrastructure, which is often costly and vulnerable to climate shocks. And it also fosters local accountability and stewardship, making water security a shared responsibility rather than solely a government or utility task. This lesson is very transferable because it's low cost and scalable. It's climate resilient, and it's also empowering communities gain skills, ownership, and confidence in managing their own resources, and also complement what the government is doing in terms of water supply. So I feel like from the Pacific perspective, that is the most realistic and transferable lesson that
Right.
can be transferred to other territories.
Great. Mhm.
I think now it goes Benoit. Thank you very much, Miss Letty.
Yes, thank you. I think I have 2 points. The first one is maybe we have to think if it's possible to shift the agricultural model because in Martinique, and I think it's the same in other islands, we produce banana for exportation to Europe, and then we make importation of fruits and vegetables from Europe. Is this a sustainable model? And why we do not choose crops and grow crops on the island for the local population? Can we choose water efficient crops rather than relying on irrigating banana? I'm a hydrogeologist, so it's not my point of expertise, but I think it's something we have to think about on several islands. And concerning the other question, I think that if we want to improve our model and to find solutions for the future, politicians and decision makers need concrete examples to help them to make decisions. And it's important to have a demonstrator project and to organize site visits, exchange between islands, and to show that all the solutions exist and have been tested individually. And we must succeed to convince people that each solution is useful, and we have to construct, to develop strategies adapted to each territories or to specific part of the territories to to reach our goal.
Interesting.
Yes, it is. Now, I think we share the main crop here is also bananas. So yeah, we can get your point completely. Okay, Oliva?
Thank you. Yeah, in the Faroes, we don't have much agriculture, but we have aquaculture, and the smolts for the salmon farming demand very, very much water. So we have had some wells drilled for water. They have unfortunately not been successful yet, but that's work in progress. But something that we can see now, obviously we did get the groundwater law through the parliament in 24, and we got the rights of the water, of the groundwater for the people, for the government to handle. And we don't have that with the surface water. So we actually do have some struggle because of the large amount of water that the salmon company needs in a small village. And the municipality has to make sure that the water is there for them because it's their responsibility. So we do have a struggle there between the local farmer, because sheep is what we do have. We do have livestock, but that's only sheep. So those kind of things is something that we are trying to handle at the moment. Hopefully we will get that into the new water law and get that through parliament, so we don't have that problem anymore. So it will be like taking also the responsibility of these small municipalities up and to the higher level, at the governmental level. It will make it a little bit easier, and the distance a bit further from very local, can get a bit complicated. So I think that's one thing that we have learned and are still learning at the moment, and would be something we could benefit from. But also another thing I think that we have learned during all these wells, that we have these 3,000 shallow geothermal wells, is that we have a lot of water that's just running out into nowhere. It's a resource that goes into nothing. It's really a pity in many cases. So that's also something we're struggling to get these systems into usage somehow. So we have this system I showed you from the school, where we're heating the house or the school. But we have another system as well that's even warmer, and we want to use that as well. But there we have issues because those wells have been drilled on private land, because it's heating for private houses. So obviously this is something that we didn't know when we started the drilling, but that was and is still a problem. It's been ongoing for 12 years now, and the water is still just running into a river. So it's a pity. It would be much more useful both to be used as a heating source, but after that, it's also something we're trying to look into. Once you've taken the heat out of the water, why not use it for drinking water as well? So that's also something that we're looking into, and something that I think may be something to take away in those cases.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Maybe, I don't know, as we still have some time, I don't know if the audience, somebody wants to ask a question or something. I don't know if they can. Actually, I think they are muted, maybe.
Yeah, so if someone wants to ask something, yeah, just raise your hand and we can answer.
Exactly.
No, there is no question. Everything is
Okay.
clear, like like
But
in the
I don't know
university when we
if,
finish.
okay, yeah, they are able to raise the hand. Yeah.
Yeah, they can,
Okay.
they can.
Yes.
Okay. So
Okay. Juan Carlos, go.
no, that I think that this could be a seed for a new projects in the future, because we have the most difficult that is join us here in this forum, and everything could be better, or could be in a new proposal or something that we can share in our archipelagos. We have some experience with, for instance, with Benoit in some projects, Horizon 2020, and with Aluba. In the future, we are going to develop this kind of projects with European funding. And of course, Ms. Ileti, you are free to join us in our proposals to of course to represent this huge problem of the water security in climate change scenarios. So yeah, I think that this could be a very nice seed for growing things in the future. That is my thoughts now.
Sure. It would be very nice to be all of us involved in such a project like you mentioned. So thank you very much to all of you. I think we can close the call. Thank you for attending, even if it's nighttime in Fiji, and Benoit, you are just starting really early today. So have a nice day. Thank you very much for joining us. I think it's very valuable to have places where we can share island territories issues. We know our territories are different from the continent, and there has to be places where we can exchange and talk just about islands. I think that's really important. So thank you, Juan Carlos, for organizing this webinar, and I hope to see you very soon. And thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Bye bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.